Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Caleb James and I'm the author of the Christian, anime-inspired fantasy sci-fi novel series Spirit Warriors. Soon to be a comic, by the way. Today I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit more about who I am and how Spirit Warriors ended up getting made. So, first and foremost, I'm a Christian and I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ. I was baptized at an early age and have been doing my best to follow Christ ever since. I played football since I was very young as well, and I was always that guy trying to get his teammates to get more serious about the relationship with God and come to church and all those things. When I was a kid, I was always super creative as well, and I would spend months writing entire AAA video games, you can believe it. I remember in third grade, I conscripted some other kids. We wrote this huge Zelda Kingdom Hearts hybrid thing by hand with hundreds of pages, all in these massive manila folders that could feel like an entire filing cabinet, and it was just like the best thing in the entire world for my little third grade self. Maybe I'll get to see a polished version of that one day. But getting back to Spirit Warriors, I distinctly remembered that around the time of the summer of my sophomore year of high school, God told me that He wanted me to do like a bunch of things like writing, YouTube, and music, but there's a couple problems. One is that I was scared out of my mind of doing all those things. Two, I hated the sound of my own voice, still kind of do. And three, all I pretty much cared about outside of video games, movies, church, the occasional Saturday TV show with my dad was football. I was really, really good and had been the best player on every team I'd ever been on. Still might be true to this day. And I figured that I'd have no issue going to college, playing great, getting drafted in 3 years, and then going to the NFL, where then I'd have the entire offseason to focus on all those things that God was telling me to do then and give them the time and attention that they deserved. But there was another problem. Almost none of those things ended up happening. I did play college football at Rice for 4 years, but things didn't end up going my way. I got hurt during my junior year, missed that season and the next one. God did make a way, and I played another year at Baylor after that, and then He just made another way now. And I'm playing football at Ole Miss, but the NFL prospects aren't looking too great at the moment. But I'm excited to see what God is going to do in the football part of my life and in all aspects of my life in this new season that I'm stepping into. And I'm very grateful that God has given me things outside of my sport that I can look forward to and just truly enjoy, like writing. But jumping back in time a bit to my sophomore year of college, God revisited that burden that He placed on me to create in a really big way. My little brother really wanted to watch this super weird thing called anime with me. Anime fantasy sci-fi novel series Spirit Warriors. I had absolutely no interest at the time. I finally caved in from his persistence and viewed it just as something that I could do to maybe get a little bit closer to him, and I plan to watch approximately one episode and never touch this strange looking foreign medium again. Then I fell in love with it. My Hero Academia was my first anime ever, and watching Deku on the ground while All Might told him that he could be a hero was one of the most important days of my life. After that, it was up from there, and I got the rest of my family hooked on anime as well. But the Spirit Warriors of it all came after watching the Entertainment District arc in Season 2 of Demon Slayer. I still remember the moment of watching Tanjiro and the gang fight against Gyutaro and just feeling in my spirit that I just have to make something like this. So I sat down late that night, probably like 11 p.m., right after I finished that season, and just started writing basically. I said to myself, Avatar The Last Airbender and Demon Slayer are my favorite shows, so why not combine them to make something even better? Of course, it turned out to be much more complicated than that. There were lots of ups and downs, but God was extremely faithful through it all, and He took someone with no writing experience and made them the author of 6 books and counting, which is something that only He can do. Now, you're here, I'm here, and I just can't wait to see what God's going to do with all of it. I'm grateful for the lives that have already been changed through this story, including mine, and all the ones that I believe that He's going to touch and change and impact with it as well. Getting into the actual creation of Spirit Warriors, the first thing I did was loosely come up with the concept of the story. A football player gets killed and transported to another world where he has to reunite the definitely not fire, water, earth, and air nation from Avatar to get home. What would I do if I was in one of these anime shows? So I went with that initial premise when designing James Foss, but me and him are not the same, and he has evolved far beyond anything I could have ever imagined for him. He makes a lot of decisions that I would not make if I was in the spirit world fighting terrorists, but that's just me. But we definitely share a lot of similarities for sure. I think I'm much more handsome, but that's for you all to decide. Anyway, after that I fleshed out the main cast of the story and said to myself, how about I make the main cast all my favorite characters from other shows and just go from there? And you won't believe it, but that's what I did. Milliard, Terrence, Calderono, Jerry, he's coming later, he's the GOAT. All those characters, for example, were inspired by Lemillion, Bakugo, Uncle Iroh, and Zenitsu respectively. There's many more inspirations, which I can get into later, but I love how every character has just evolved so far past the initial concept that I had for them into some of the richest, deepest, and most importantly funniest characters that I've ever seen in all of fiction, in my opinion. And all the haters can quote me on that in a few years when we're number one on Crunchyroll. So, for characters like Epios, Kayla, and others, I told myself that I wanted to make them completely original, tell completely original stories for them. I absolutely love the way they've turned out too. Fun fact, Epios was originally black, and a lot less Epios, a lot less your future ruler, but I realized that his dad needed to be white, so he became white. For those who don't know what I mean, read the story. But because of that and other similar things that have happened, me and my best friend believe the story could low-key be prophecy because many aspects of our lives have been eerily similar to the events of this and future books. Who knows, maybe you should just read them all to find out what's going to happen in 2027 or something. But anyway, after I came up with the initial character ideas, I wrote like 100+ page outline for the first major story arc. It was so fun. I planned it for all to be one book, and I had so many ideas for arcs 2 and 3 that I just couldn't wait to get into. I sat down and started writing, and I was like, books are usually around like 300 pages, and I'm at like 150, and I just finished the intro. I haven't even reached the Earth Tribe yet, and I'm well over 300 pages. I just finished the Earth Tribe, and I'm at like 800 pages. But then I said, oh well, we'll just split it here and release like 3 books or something. It'll be alright. Surely the Wind Tribe, what happens after that, won't take that long. Right? That idea I had for 1 book turned into 4, which has turned into 6, and now the series is projected at 15, and we'll see what happens. But how long is that going to take to fully adapt into a comic? Who knows? But I need all of you tapped into Chapter 1 when that comic releases this fall. Another fun fact is that the entire introductory story arc, which ended up being half of Book 1, was time-skipped in my original outline, and Chapter 2 was going to be the events of the infamous Chapter 7. Thank God for taking my ideas and saying, actually, let's do it this way, son, whenever I sat down to write it. That's actually another point that I definitely need to touch on because writing with God is one of my favorite things in life to do. And if you told me that I would have ever written a book just a couple years ago, I would have looked at you like you were crazy. I don't put pen to paper or finger to plastic in this case unless I've done my Bible study for the day. And whenever I write, I feel God with me more than any other time. It's something that we get to do together, just the 2 of us, and I couldn't be more grateful. But anyway, the story of James Foss and the gang definitely highlights a lot of the journey that God has had me on through these past 22 years of life, and it echoes a lot of lessons that He's taught me from His Word as well. The joke between me and my dad is that it's a good problem that I have hundreds of pages of notes from sermons and Bible studies and biblical research that I've had to break down and put into the lesson that all the characters learn throughout the story, and in developing the theme and concepts throughout the story. Hopefully you'll be thoroughly entertained and take away a lot from the story, whether you're a follower of Christ or not, and learn about how to live out this life that God has blessed us with just a little bit better. Also, just know that each book is way better than the last. Ask the people who've read all 6 and they'll tell you. If you want to be one of those people who get to read all the next books early, check my Patreon in the description below, as we're planning for all the proceeds to go towards paying all the amazing artists that I get to work with as we adapt the books into hopefully the best comic that you've ever seen, en route to getting an animated show one day. But that's it for me. Coming soon, we'll have a breakdown of Chapter 1 that you'll absolutely not want to miss, as I shed light on some things that you may have missed while reading it. I'll also have more insights in the history of Spirit Warriors, my writing process as I was, developing each part and all that jazz, so you definitely don't want to miss it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.